The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you. It's haunting me. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoking gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr. And with me as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's episode is going to be interesting. For people that are fans of movies, we're going to be talking about something that sounds a lot like the plot of a movie. And one particular movie, which was Minority Report. If you've seen that movie, in that movie, Tom Cruise plays a cop. And they work with things called precogs, which are these psychic people that they kind of keep in this tank of goo. And they can predict future crimes before they happen. And then they'll get like a little ball that comes down that tells them the date and the time and who it is and all that. And they go and they catch the person and they stop the crime before it happens or arrest them as they're getting ready to do it or whatever. And all that makes a really good movie. And it sounds like fiction. But what if I was to tell you that there is a government agency that actually does that? Kind of. It's not exactly like it is in a movie. They're not using people that are laying in goo. But they are predicting the future and using it to form policy and to form military strategies. That is actually happening in real life. Now, to prove this to you tonight, we're going to be looking at an article from bigthink.com, and the headline is Secretive Agency Uses AI Human Forecasters to Predict the Future. A U.S. government intelligence agency develops cutting-edge tech to predict future events. It was written by Paul Ratner, and it was published May 17, 2020. The Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity, or the IARPA, a research arm of the U.S. government intelligence community, is focused on predicting the future. The organization uses teams of human non-experts and AI machine learning to forecast future events. IARPA also conducts advanced research in numerous other fields, funding rotating programs. As far as secretive government projects go, the objectives of IARPA may be the riskiest and most far-reaching. With its mission to foster high-risk, high-payoff programs, this research arm of the U.S. intelligence community literally tries to predict the future. Staffed by spies and PhDs, this organization aims to provide decision makers with real, accurate predictions of geopolitical events using artificial intelligence and human forecasters. IARPA, which stands for Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity, was founded in 2006 as part of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Some of the projects that it has funded focused on advancements in quantum computing, cryogenic computing, face recognition, universal language translators, and other initiatives that would fit well in a Hollywood action movie plot. But perhaps its main goal is to produce anticipatory intelligence. It's a spy agency after all. In the interest of national security, IARPA wants to identify major world events before they happen, looking for terrorists, hackers, or any perceived enemies of the United States. Wouldn't you rather stop a crime before it happens? Of course, that's when we get into tricky political and sci-fi territory. Much of the research done by IARPA is actually out in the open. utilizing the public and experts in advancing technologies. It is available for open solicitations, forecasting tournaments, and has prize challenges for the public. You can pretty much send your idea in right now. But what happens to the R&D once it leaves the lab is often for only the NSA and the CIA to know. The National Security Agency expert James Bamford wrote that the agency is ultimately looking to create a system where huge amounts of data about people's lives would be mined in real time for the purpose of preventing actions detrimental to the nation. In his article for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Bamford wrote that IARPA's goal is to create very powerful automated computer systems managed through artificial intelligence, which would be capable of cataloging the lives of everyone, everywhere, 24/7. Such programs would be able to instantaneously access data streams belonging to citizens, whether from social media or anywhere else. As Bamford writes, being able to analyze every Facebook post, tweet, and YouTube video, every toll booth tag number, every GPS download, web search and news feed, every street camera video, every restaurant reservation on Open Table, largely eliminates surprise from the intelligence equation. Of course, one would suspect much of this is going on already. IARPA's Mercury program, for example, concentrates on data mining millions of private overseas communications that are gathered by the National Security Agency. While it can certainly be argued that such a program is a national security necessity, working to spot terrorists and elements that can lead to social unrest, the potential for misuse and infringement on privacy rights has alerted observers. A fascinating recent project funded by IARPA is called SAGE, which stands for Synergistic Anticipation of Geopolitical Events. As you may expect from such a lofty title, the researchers involved in this endeavor are looking to predict the future. This project is aimed at utilizing non-experts, humans, who would use AI machine learning to make qualified statements about what would happen. Led by Aram Galistan, director of the Artificial Intelligence Division at the USC Viterbi Information Sciences Institute, ISI, the project has been successful in making concrete predictions, like knowing when North Korea would launch its missile tests. SAGE works by utilizing large sets of human non-expert predictors, pooling their powers by working together, making them more accurate and faster than a single human subject expert, as explains a USC press release. However, the information these humans or forecasters use to make predictions is gathered through a variety of machine learning technologies. The topics looked at by the predictors include such questions as, will any G7 nation engage in an acknowledged national military attack against Syria by a given date? They may also want to figure out exactly how much oil Venezuela might produce in a specific month. Leaders among the forecasters, or those who make the most accurate predictions, are ranked and highlighted with badges. This AI-assisted crowdsourced Nostradamus has worked out quite well, according to Fred Morstatter, a USC computer scientist. We believe that's the case because the numbers we're seeing indicate we are outpacing a system that uses only humans, he remarked. SAGE's hybrid model functions by offering humans information derived by the machines in charts that show trends, along with specific predictions by the AI. SAGE works because humans have one side of the coin, and machines have the other side, said Morstatter. And on yet another side, you would have the national intelligence apparatus. And that is the end of this article. So, what does all that mean? Essentially, what they're doing is they are data mining the ever-loving hell out of you. Everything you do. Every social media site you use, every picture you put up, every post that you put up, every tweet, every Instagram photograph, every time you put something in MapQuest, every GPS ping on your GPS that tells you how to get to places, every GPS ping on your cell phone whenever you go places and you have your phone with you, every street light, every store surveillance camera, every traffic camera, all of it is collecting and sending information about you, your daily habits, where you are, what your patterns are, and what you're searching for online, what you're looking at online, what you're talking about on social media, what you're talking about in private messages, what you're talking about in emails you send each other. If you do Skype calls, if you do Facebook calls, all those things, all of that information is being mined by the NSA, and it's all going into one big pot, so to speak. The artificial intelligence program takes all of that data and it forms trends. It forms patterns. It shows what you're going to do in the future. Because it can say, okay, every Tuesday, old boy goes down to this massage parlor to get a massage. So we can accurately predict that next Tuesday, he will be at that massage parlor, right? That's a very easy, simplified example of what this can do. On a much larger scale, it can look at trends in a country and say, okay, the country is trending towards socialism. It's trending towards capitalism. If it's a dictatorship, a communist dictatorship, they can say, okay, we can look at all of the posts and all the messages that they're sending back and forth, and we can say confidently that the populace of this country is getting to the point of rebellion. So we know that soon there's going to be problems. They're going to start to rebel, and they're going to have to be cracked down upon. Those kind of things are a good example of what a country might use it for against their own citizens. You also have this technology being used to predict what other countries are doing. And that goes to the people at the Pentagon, and they do their war planning around what the predictions could be. So in other words, we can predict that in the next 20 years, this is what Russia is going to be doing. This is what China is going to be doing. This is what North Korea is going to be doing. And then we can make plans off of those predictions on how to counter whatever they're going to be doing. Those kind of things are happening. This is a double-edged sword, in my opinion. As always, this is going to be completely up to you to make up your own mind on and to decide what you think about it. What I can tell you is everything that I've said here tonight is 100% true. This is not one of those shows where we're trying to figure out if something exists, where we're giving you the evidence and saying, well, does it exist or does it not exist? What do you think? There's absolutely no doubt. All of this exists. It's being done now. Now, they will claim that data is not kept, that data is never looked at unless a judge issues a warrant and all that kind of stuff. And in public, on paper, they will claim that. But that's not the truth. They can look at or see or read anything they want at any time. It does not require a judge's okay. In order for it to be legal and admissible in court, they will get a judge to sign off on it after the fact. But believe me, this is happening on a daily basis where they are looking at what you're doing and using it for whatever purpose. Some examples of this in your own life that prove that this technology not only exists, but that it is being used. You could be hanging out with your old lady, and you could be talking about dog food, let's say. You want to buy Rover a different kind of dog food because he's not eating the food anymore. He turns his nose up at it. He doesn't want to eat it, which doesn't make any sense to you because in 5 minutes he's going to go over to the corner, lay down, and lick his own butt. But for some reason he doesn't want to eat the food you spent $50 on. So you want to buy a different kind of food. Now, you're not searching for a different food online. All you're doing is simply speaking to your spouse about what kind of food you think you ought to buy. you don't really come to any kind of real conclusion. You're just throwing out some options. So you decide you're going to scroll Facebook a little bit while you're watching TV, and lo and behold, all of a sudden you have ads on your news feed, on your timeline, for dog food. When you've never searched for dog food, you've never talked about dog food on Facebook, but you talked about it in real life with your spouse and your phone was there. Everything you say with your phone in the proximity of your person is being recorded. The government can turn your mic on, can turn your camera on, can turn all of that stuff on at any point in time. That's also being done by companies, not just the government. Have you ever been sitting there talking and all of a sudden your phone will start talking about what you're talking about? Like, say, let's use a dog food example again. Say you're talking about dog food and all of a sudden you'll hear a voice coming from your phone that says, here are your results for dog food or whatever. And your search engine, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want my phone to go off while I'm trying to do this show. But all of a sudden, your search engine will search for whatever you're talking about. You'll see ads, you'll have searches. Now, how many times has your phone popped up with a notification and told you that you've just visited this restaurant or that restaurant or whatever, and offered you a coupon for it or offered you to rate the place or something like that? Now, you never entered in on social media anywhere that you were at this place. I've had it happen to me. We haven't even gone to the restaurant. We've driven by the restaurant. And it will pop up that I can rate the restaurant if I would so choose. Now, I have all of my GPS trackers and all that stuff on my phone turned off. So there is no way that it should be able to tell where I am if all of those trackers are off. But you can never really truly turn them off. The only way to actually stop them from tracking you is to pull your SIM card and your battery. That's the only way you can actually stop it. Anytime your phone is active, your camera can be accessed, your video camera can be accessed, the microphone on your phone can be accessed, and you won't even know what's going on. The phone will not turn itself on. There'll be no lights. There'll be no alerts. There'll be nothing. But they can turn the stuff on at any point in time and record anything you're saying or doing. That is fact. All of that information, all of it ends up at the NSA. They have everything on everybody. Something that you put online that you thought, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. So you went back and you deleted it. Okay, it's gone. Not really. There's a copy, and they got it. So they have everything. Now, the reason I say that is a double-edged sword. It is very useful for finding and stopping bad guys that want to do us harm. Very, very useful tool. Pretty much vital in this day and age to do that job. The problem is when they look at you, the everyday citizen, like you're a bad guy. That information can be used against you. They have everything. So anytime that they want, they could look at it. They could access it. They can use it to form a court case against you and to charge you with something. They have all of that information. They're also using, as I said earlier in the show, all of the cameras. So every traffic camera, every red light camera, every camera in every 7-Eleven, and every bank lobby, everywhere. All of those cameras, if they're hooked up to actually record onto a feed, that feed is also getting sent to the government. They have it. And they can access that camera whenever they want. So let's say in the example of a bad guy, they want to track this person that's now in the United States and they're planning on doing something very, very bad. They can access all those cameras to find that person, pinpoint exactly where they are, and neutralize them. That technology exists and it's being used today. The question I have for you, what do you think about that? Are you cool with your government taking all of that information from you? Now, the argument you hear all the time from people is, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to hide? I've heard that argument many, many times. And if that is your position, that's fine. That's your position. As I said, you will be making up your own mind here. I'm not going to tell you what to think. You are a grown person. You are a free man or woman. You have the right to make up your own mind. What I will tell you is if you know that they're collecting that data and you have consented to that data being collected, then in my view, that's fine. You know about it, you've consented to it, you're cool. If they're doing it without your knowledge, which is the majority of this is going on without your knowledge, you've never said it was okay for them to spy on everything you do. Every single camera that you pass in a day can record you. Your own webcam can be turned on your laptop at any point in time and record what you're doing. Even if your computer is closed and turned off, they can activate the microphone and record what you're saying in your own house. And if you have like an Alexa or one of those kind of things, one of them little robot doll, like round robot disc-like things that you talk to, that records everything that you say in your house. And all of that goes somewhere. It's not just only when you activate it, it's always recording you. Are you okay with that level of intrusion into your life? To me, it creeps me out. I don't like it. I don't like the idea that I'm sitting here talking to my wife in my living room about what kind of dog food to buy, and all of a sudden Facebook knows that I'm talking about dog food in my own house. That's crazy. They don't need that information. I don't give them permission to spy on me like that. But they do anyway. And there's really no way to stop it. If you're going to use this technology, you have to be aware that that's going to happen to you. Because it doesn't matter if we say no or yes. They're going to do it anyway. There's been court orders and court cases where they have told them they have to stop doing this. And they still do it anyway. They don't care. They're going to do what they're going to do. Are you okay with that? That's the question. So as I said in the beginning, in the movie The Minority Report, they are using psychics. They call them precogs. And they're able to accurately predict when a crime is getting ready to happen. And they can tell you what crime it is, who's going to do it, where and when. And then they get that information and they go and they stop the crime from happening and they arrest the person. This artificial intelligence is essentially doing the same thing. It takes all of the information that I was just talking about. Everything people are posting online, everything that's trending, every camera, all that information. It all goes into one big pot and gets mixed together. And from all that information, the artificial intelligence is able to formulate patterns and trends. And they can tell you what a country is going to do, what a person's going to do, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's what they're admitting to that they can do. So if that's what they're admitting to that they can do, how much more can they actually do that they're not admitting to? Because if you believe that they're admitting to this and they're telling you everything they can do and they're not leaving anything out, then I would like to have you as a customer if I was a car salesman. Let's put it that way, because you're a sucker and you're going to be easy to sell to. The government never tells you everything they're doing. They always hide everything as long as they can. So if they're admitting to this, that means that what they can actually do now is so far beyond this, it makes this not even matter. So then my next question to you would be, are you okay with that? Whatever that happens to be. What they can already do that they're admitting to is damn close to what the Minority Report movie was about. Yes, they don't have psychics laying in goo that I know of that can predict the future, but they are using all of us to form pattern streams that they can make predictions off of. The artificial intelligence does. And they are predicting our future. And they are actually acting on the intelligence that they're gathering. So if they are trying to move the country a certain direction, and the country is moving a different direction, then they will formulate plans to stage events to cause the country to move in the direction they want it to move. And if you don't believe that our government is capable of that, do some research on the Gulf of Tonkin. Do some research on Pearl Harbor, on how we had information about that before it happened. Do some research on all the different times that the government has staged events in order to start wars and in order to do all kinds of crazy stuff. All that information is out there for you to find. And it's all 100% true, and a lot of it is already declassified, and it's all out there to find. So how would this technology be used to further those goals? Think about how politicians use polling and public opinion to shape their spin on what they want to do to get elected. Because they never keep their word when they get elected. Most of them don't. They will tell you one thing, and then when they get elected, they do whatever the hell they want anyway. But the reason they tell you that one thing is because they do polling to determine what you want them to say. And then they go out and they say it. But it has no real relation to what they're actually going to do most times. I believe they also would use this kind of technology to figure out exactly how far they can go. How much will the people actually put up with and tolerate? How can you manipulate information and manipulate the news cycle to make it okay what you're going to do? To make the people believe in what you're going to do, even though what you're doing is not in the best interest of the people. That's called propaganda. It's been used throughout time to manipulate populations into doing things that they would never agree to in the first place. And it's being used today. It's always been used. Is this technology being used to shape that propaganda and make it work better? I believe probably yes. But when this hits YouTube, let me know down in the comments of the YouTube video what you guys think about it. So what I want to do now is I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and get his opinion on what I've said here tonight and anything else that he would like to speak on. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. Here's the thing, I've never seen the Minority Report, guys, so I've heard about it, so I'm not going to be able to really say much. I'll say something about this because I totally believe this is already going on, and it's been going on. What they're doing, pretty much, is they're seeing what your pattern is with your life, with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, what you like to watch, what you're doing, what you're posting, what kind of restaurants you go to. Right now, it may not be the big deal. They probably have a list of people, and I've heard of this stuff. I already totally believe it. Now, I don't believe in psychics and goo, but I believe there's something going on like that, but not that crazy. I think that's exaggerated by Hollywood, like we all know they like to do. Here's what I think. What they do is they see how you're living your life. It's going by statistics. Statistically, like James said, if you go to McDonald's every other day and you post it, they know that's what you're doing, and that's the kind of food you like. If you don't post a lot, then they worry about you, because that means you're a private person and you got stuff hiding they want to know about. Isn't that kind of funny? A lot of people who don't put their stuff out there, like me, I don't care. I watch what I put now because of this, and I know this is going to be a touchy subject because what we're talking about. And they listen to everything. GPS. I used to have the Google egg or whatever it is, and that thing would talk and say stuff back. I wouldn't even talk to it, and it would just do it in the middle of the night sometimes. It's listening to what we're doing. It's proven. That's what happened with the Xbox and the Kinect. They were saying that they got caught watching video of us playing Xbox and stuff like that. If you play certain games, they're watching you. What kind of games you play. They know. And everybody's fell for it. They just found another way to watch you. They've been doing it for a while. So I know what I'm saying right now is probably not the best thing because we're probably going to get monetized for this episode. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You guys need to start waking up. You want me to tell you about what my phone does? I don't even go to work. It already knows where I'm going. It tells me how far my work is. That's built in the Apple phone. So it knows what I'm doing. It knows where I'm going. Certain places it knows where I'm going because it tracks what I'm doing. So think about that, guys. Before I go to work every day, it tells me how far I'm. And when I go home to go to work, it tells me how far home I am. And it knows where I'm going. It's weird. It's no accident this is happening. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, guys. This has been going on for a while, but now they have an easier way. This was such a great thing, hidden disguise. Think about it. Years ago, you couldn't have your own phone unless you were rich. The internet was only used for people who were like into computers, like really like genius computer stuff, and they were doing files and hiding them through there. Now the internet, everybody uses. Everybody uses a computer or some kind of device that we all use that has something with either our information, what's going on, where we're going, what we're watching, what we're posting. It's watching you. And you have these little groups, don't care. They're watching your instant messages, who you're talking to. They know it. They're probably not sitting there every day doing it, but they know what you're doing. It's recorded. And if they want to see it, they'll get it. You're not deleting anything. They'll find it. Remember that. They can hire hackers illegally to find what they want. They can find anything you did. That's why you always change your profile, your password. Always do it something opposite, totally opposite. Never tell anybody. I try to do that. Now I just told everybody. But, hey, whatever. We're not all smart. I guess I wasn't smart right there. That's funny, though. But, again, they've been doing this for years. And people have, I think at first it wasn't meant for that. Now they picked on how to find people what they're doing. This person likes to go ghost hunting all the time. They know where you go hunting, where you watching, what places you like to go, what's your favorite places. They know what time you go and they average it out. This person goes to Burger King every other Thursday. Or it goes to Applebee's at least twice a month. They know you're going to do that. They know where you're at. And then you post it, you're there. So they know you're there eating. And they know what you're eating because you pretty much, when you order, it goes on your, when you pay for it, it goes into a computer, you're paying for it. So they know when you bought it. They know everything you're doing. And like he was saying, it's propaganda. So they get what they want out of stuff. They'll tell you what you want to get voted in. And when they do it, they never keep 100% of their promises. They keep maybe 40, 30%, and that's it. They'll do it at first, give you what you want. And then they'll behind closed doors, they'll change the law and do stuff you don't know till late. It's too late. This has been going on for a long time, guys. And the sad thing is people are still falling for it. And then it just proved to them they found out other ways to control us. And they are. They're controlling us with phones, computers, video games, everything. And it's hard to get away from this now, guys, because we're so used to it. Think about it. In the 90s, in the mid-90s, I had CDs. I think DVDs first started coming out around then, the later years, and they were expensive. And VHS, we had pagers. Cell phones were just starting to come out, and they were expensive. Most people had them if you had a business or something like that, but we didn't have computers all over the place. You had one computer at the house, and everybody was on it because you could play video games. And then AOL came out of nowhere, and Earthlink, and all these other Yahoo, and all these other internet web browsers, and that's what blew up. Just listen, my ex-wife, I met her on AOL, guys, on a dating chat. I met my wife from Facebook. I didn't meet her like they used to in the old days. You meet her at a store or a gas station, or a bar, or a church, or wherever you went, family member. I met her through Facebook. I've met majority of people I've dated through there. And that's just how everything is now. Everybody orders stuff. I mean, I order from eBay, Amazon, everything that you could think of. Walmart, Target, Best Buy, we all order it. And they know what we're ordering. Oh, he ordered a TV. Well, he ordered this kind of movie. He orders this movie all the time. eBay, all that. They keep track of it. They know what you're buying. Unless you pay cash. That's the only thing they can't. That's the why they don't like people spending money on cash. That's why they want people to have bank accounts, because they can keep track of what you're doing. When you don't, they don't like that. But they're making it almost possible. You can't live like that anymore. You can't not use that money. They want to get rid of money altogether, so you can't hide what you have anymore. Because so they can tax you. I know how that works, and we all know how that goes. They want to tax you for everything. So, of course, they want to know what you're spending your money on, so they could tell you how to spend it. They could tell you how to do things, how they can control you in certain ways. They could find that somebody's talking about, and like he said, it's a double-edged sword, because then you could find out somebody's been talking off and on for years or months about doing something bad, and they finally do it. Well, we know why they did it and where they did it, or we could stop them and prevent them from doing it before it happens. It's a pattern. Most people talk. There is only and this is what it is. 99% of people said they're going to do something, ain't going to do it. It's when the people are quiet and don't talk about it. That's what they're worried about. When you don't go on talking about your business all the time, they're scared of you, because they don't know what you're going to do. That's the people they're worried about. When you're blabbing your mouth all the time, he ain't going to do nothing. He just talks all the time. But if you end up doing something, then they have something on you now. They could go back in history and see, oh, yeah, this guy was a ticking time bomb. He was going to rob a bank. He did. Or they know beforehand that you're ready to do something bad, and they caught you on it. There's good and there's bad, double-edged sword. We can stop a lot of things, but it can also lead up to a lot of bad things too. We can be told what to do, how to eat, when to buy stuff, where to buy stuff, and how much we can do it. That's end game, guys. I don't care what anybody says and thinks we're crazy. That happens. It's happened through life, all through time. And it's sad, but a lot of people fall for it. We don't need them as much as you think, but it is what it is. They think they think they should be telling us what to do and how to live our life. That's not how it's supposed to be. Everybody's born with their own separate mind and their own thinking, and should be like that. But we all have difference of opinions. That's just how I believe it. Society is this belief that everybody needs to do what and rely on somebody else is not how it's supposed to be. When you're born in your life, you have you can't fend for yourself. I get that. Your family has to take you, your mom and dad, whoever's grandparents. Some people have different, situations they're in. And that's who's supposed to teach you and who's raised you. But when you get older, you're supposed to pretty much learn how to live your life. Some people don't, and I get it. You have bad times. A lot of things happen. Not everybody's perfect. But eventually you're going to have to live on your own. This whole thing that there's, people think they should be helped the rest of their life. I wouldn't want, I'm sorry. That's just, I don't want to get into that. But I'm just not that kind of person. That's me. I don't need help. I try to do it myself. Everybody needs help one time or a couple times in their life. It happens. But I try not to ask people for help. I do it myself. I figure out myself, and that's just who I am. But that's me. A lot of people are different. That doesn't mean I believe in something or do something means everybody else is going to do it. And they don't have to. Everybody has their own mind. And I like it that way. But I believe this totally. I believe that they watch us statistically, they see what we're doing, and it's always good to throw patterns and do stuff different, because then you don't know what you're doing all the time. But think about this, guys. I know, leave comments in your in the post when we do this video, and I know you will. But like I said, one guy the other day said something about, oh, I saw this and heard this. The problem is, okay, if you guys got evidence, prove it. Don't tell me something that somebody you heard or a buddy or friend through the grapevine. That's hearsay. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't take it to anything, grain of salt. So if you have any opinions or actually want to talk to us about this or have any proof, then send it to us. We're totally cool about it. We'll talk about it on a next show or a show down the line to this show, because we always try to make backup shows to these, or a second show or a third, and we could talk about it one day. But leave what you guys think. But yes, I do believe this. I believe what James is talking about. The Minority Report, never seen it. I've seen some of little bits of it, but I believe it to what I've heard, what it's about. I know what it's about. I believe it kind of happens. Not like he was saying in Goo and stuff like that. I think that's exaggerated, but I think it's pretty close. And I think somebody's watching you somewhere. They know what you're doing. You know, especially had stuff in family and members, they're watching everybody, what they're doing. So you're not really getting away with everything like people think they are. It's kind of funny. It's almost impossible now. So things still get through the cracks, though. It's not impossible, but it's harder than it ever was before. Because everybody's reliant on technology. And it was done for purpose, and that's just my opinion. But from there, James, go ahead, brother.
The scary and dangerous part of this is when they use that data to figure out how to completely end any debate. They do that through censorship, but they also do that through certain buzzwords that they figured out. If they use race, for example, or something like that, they can get everybody all worked up about it, and that will automatically end the debate. Because if you say anything opposite of what the propaganda line is, whatever their narrative they're pushing is, then you are this thing. They've used that to kill debate. Not only in our country, all over the world, they've done this. And that is one of the most dangerous things, because debate, open and honest and free debate, is one of the most important pieces of any free society. There are a lot of different ideas. Some are good, and some are horrible. But it's important that everybody is able to speak their truth. Whether you're right or wrong, whether I agree with you or not, you should have the right to speak your mind. And then the public should have access to all that information, all the different points of view, all the different facts on whatever subject it is, and then make their own mind up. That's how a free society is supposed to work. If you take the debate out of the equation and you start censoring the information as well, because that's what's happening in this country right now. You're not allowed to talk about certain things, and you're not allowed to have access to the information. If you try to share, like say on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, if you try to share certain links to certain news articles, they just take it off the platform and they will ban you. That's dangerous. Now, a lot of people are okay with that because it happens to be on whatever side they're on at the time. But you should never be okay with that. Even if you don't agree with the person and you think that what they're posting is stupid and that it's absolute nonsense, you should still never be okay with Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is censoring that information. Because if you allow them to do it to that person and to stop this particular point of view from being put forth, it's only a matter of time before your opinion on whatever subject it happens to be at the moment is going to be different than the opinion that is supposed to be the opinion held by everybody, the opinion that's being pushed, the narrative. Once your opinion is different, you will find yourself being the one that's censored, being the one that's banned, being the one that's shut down. And the funny thing is, because you didn't stand for all the other groups when it was happening to them, when it happens to you, there'll be no one left to stand for you. So you should always stand up for freedom, stand against censorship in any form. I don't care if somebody comes onto Facebook and says the most outlandish stuff possible. I don't care. I'm not afraid of that language. I don't have to agree with what that person is saying. And I will engage that person in debate. That is good. That is healthy. If you don't agree with what someone is saying, then you have the right and the freedom to tell them you don't agree with that and to show them why they're wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Where the problem comes in is when you start getting violent and making threats and all that kind of stuff. That I can completely understand. That shouldn't be tolerated because you're not allowed to hurt somebody else. But having different points of view is vital to having a healthy and free society. How can you ever come to a real consensus on what the proper thing to do is, or what the smartest thing or the best thing to do in whatever situation is, if you don't have all the options? Let's take this all the way back down to your level at your dinner table, okay? Forget about geopolitics, forget about war, forget about policies of nations and the future of the world. Forget all that. Let's bring it all the way back down to food. You and your absolutely gorgeous wife are sitting there, and it's getting to be late evening, and your wife is getting hungry. And as any married man knows, that is a very dangerous time when your wife is hungry, because you've got 10, 15 minutes to make a decision on where you're going to get food for that woman. Because if you don't put food in that woman, she turns into something completely different. And it's scary. I swear to you it is. So you have got to make sure that this woman eats. But what do you eat? That's when we begin this dance that we all do as married couples after you've been together for a while. Once all the newness and the politeness wears off of, well, I don't care, what do you want to eat? Well, I don't care, what do you want to eat? Once that is over with, your little honeymoon phase is over with, and you're actually yourself in a marriage, then you start doing that dance you do every night. What are we going to do for dinner? I don't know, what do you feel like? She says, well, I want Chinese. And you think, I don't like Chinese. I don't want no damn Chinese. That's gross. I want Mexican food. So you say, I want Mexican food. Well, she don't feel like Mexican food because last time she ate Mexican food, it gave her the farts and she was embarrassed in front of her friends. So that's off the table for her. She really wants Chinese. Now, somewhere along the line, somebody says, well, why don't we go down and get some Indian food? Now, neither of you actually like Indian food. That's an absolute dumb idea in your situation because neither of you have ever eaten it and neither of you are interested in trying it. But it's still an option that's put out. Now, in this analogy that I'm giving you, put that in whatever other scenario you want to talk about, whatever current event is going on that people argue about online. You're going to have the Indian food, right? the dumb idea that neither of you want is going to be put out there. Whatever viewpoint that is, it's absolutely ridiculous, and nobody thinks it's smart or a good idea. But it's still out there as an option for you to look at and to say, do I agree with that or do I not agree with that? That's why it's important. All of those things need to be on the table so that you can look at every piece of evidence, every piece of opinion out there, every viewpoint, and you can decide for yourself what you think about a subject or what you feel about a subject, what you think is the right way to proceed. If you take all of that off the table, let's say your wife is representing the government in this analogy. Let's say that your wife or the government wants Chinese food. So they want opinion A, whatever that happens to be. Now you don't like opinion A. You think opinion A is absolute BS. And you have the facts to back you up that it's not good. You want opinion B, or you want Mexican food. The problem is that's not what the government wants. So let's say in your situation at your house, when you go to suggest that you want to go down to Taco Bell or something, she just censors that thought completely and you're not allowed to speak it. You start to say it, she snaps her fingers, and all of a sudden you can't talk no more. That's what that's like. That's what you're doing when you're censoring somebody's idea that they have on something. You may not agree with it, and there may be a consensus among the majority of people that look at that idea and say that that idea is garbage. But you should still have the freedom and the right to express it. I hope that I've explained that in a proper way. I kind of went off the rails a little bit, so it might not have made a whole lot of sense. I hope that it did. But basically my point is, in a free and open society, it is absolutely crucial and vital that you have open and honest debate without censorship, without manipulating the facts, without manipulating the evidence, without the propaganda of the media lying 24 hours a day. Because that's what they do. I would guarantee you that the majority of you listening, if you're really honest with yourself, you will say, you know, I don't believe not even half of what the damn news tells me anymore. It's nonsense. They've been proven to be wrong and lying so many times that I can't trust them anymore. But yet they are the ones that are telling you what is acceptable information and what isn't. We need all viewpoints. Let the market decide. Let the people decide what is valid and what is not valid. That's my point on it. That's my view. So let me know when this goes to YouTube what you guys think down in the comments. It'll be interesting to see your opinions. But that's about all the time we have, so I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy for his shout-outs, and we'll wrap up.
Thank you, guys. This was a really cool show, so I'm glad you guys got to listen to it. So I hope you guys all have a good night on Parax Radio when you listen to this on Sunday night, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, technically Sunday morning. You guys want to listen to our new show, an old show? It's going to be on James Hershey's YouTube page. You go and subscribe, and you can listen to all the new and old shows throughout the last 4 years. I do want to give out a shout-out to Christina Carcelli from Beyond the Gravestone magazine. That's it's a paranormal magazine. You guys can check it out. I think it's beyondthegravestone.com. I think it is. If not, I'll do the next show. I'll fix it. But we're actually in this magazine, so you guys want to check it out. It's pretty cool. It's in the back, way in the back, but you'll see us. We're advertised in the show and everything. So I want to thank her for doing that. It was really awesome. You guys want to get any merchandise like shirts, COVID masks, iPhone cases? James will tell you where to go. You guys want to check out my new book, God's Will? You can get it anywhere. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, paperback, and the ebook. Wherever books are sold, you guys can get it. So I hope you guys pick it up. I'm also giving you guys this little hint. I'm probably going to do another book in about 6-7 months. So it's going to be cool. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that, and I'll tell you guys later, probably next year or the end of this year. I hope everybody has a good night. Misfits, sugar ladies, demon hunters, and monster lovers. I love you, and have a good night, and blessed be.
Yeah, everybody check out Beyond the Gravestones magazine. As old boy mentioned, there's a write-up about us in the magazine. This issue, really, really cool thing. I'd like to personal shout out, personal thank you. That was a really, really cool thing. It is sold out, I believe, at the moment. They sold completely out of the magazine, which is really cool. So if you ask for it, they might do another printing. I don't know if that's a thing that they'll do for you, but I guess if enough people ask, then they may be able to get another printing going of it. But go check out that magazine, see if you can get an issue. And once again, thank you. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. Staring, tales, paranormal news, all of it. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos, 100% free. Please go to the channel, check it out, enjoy it, subscribe, and just enjoy it. It's 100% free. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/staring into the abyss. That's where all the merch is. Tons of different designs, tons of different products, good quality, low price. If you're into merch and you want some staring merch, that's where you can find it. As always, thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. Thank you for all the support and all of the love that you show us. We are truly blessed to be able to do what we love for a living. This is very, very cool for us. And I hope that every week we continue to be able to give you guys an interesting and fun show to listen to. So let us know down in the comment section if you enjoyed the show and anything else that you'd like to talk about. And as always, we love you and we thank you. And we will catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.